You are listening to Hilary Topper on Air. And now, here's your host, Hilary Topper.
Welcome to Hilary Topper on Air, the show that features inspiring interviews with small business owners to endurance athletes across the country. Do you remember watching ABC's Wide World of Sports in 1982 and seeing a young woman crawl her way to the Ironman finish line? That woman was Julie Moss, and her incredible display of determination became an iconic moment in sports history, inspiring millions around the globe. Today, I am absolutely thrilled to have Julie on the show. We'll talk about that unforgettable race, what was going through her mind, how that single event shaped her entire life. So get ready to hear an incredible story of resilience, grit, and what it truly means to push beyond your limits. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss this conversation with legendary Julie Moss. All right, so I want to welcome Julie Moss to today's show. So, Julie, I have so many questions to ask you. So, can you first of all, give everybody a little background on who you are and your role in triathlon, etc.?
Okay. Well, my name is Julie Moss, and I'm best known for my very first Ironman in Kona in 1982. Was leading the race, and then in the last couple miles I completely fell apart and up on the ground and having to get up and try and figure out a way to walk, then run, then fall. And that happened 4 times before finally I started crawling for the finish line. And it became not just a moment in triathlon, but a sports moment that was pretty famous. So I got to go along for that ride and not planning on having a professional career in triathlon. It just kind of presented itself. I was at the right place at the right time, and I had to really figure out how to become an athlete, and that was a wonderful journey to do that. And so now I think I'm also known for just being in the sport for a really long time, which is the longevity in this sport is so great. And so I'm here today speaking to you because I still love this sport. I'm passionate about it. I'm just as passionate about being on the other side of the sport in event production and race announcing, and welcoming first-time athletes across the line is one of my best ways of all right now.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that. So, all right, so let's talk about that iconic race in 1982. Do you remember what was going through your mind as you pushed through those final grueling moments?
Sure. It was just a combination of my body's falling apart, but yet I'm in the lead, so I can't give up. And I think there was just this back and forth of, struggling with my body. My mind would be strong, then my mind would be weak, and my body was just continuing to get weaker and weaker. And I think I just discovered that there's this part of all endurance athletes. Every one of you who is listening today knows that place that you go to. And it's very deep within yourselves. And you go there and you find just that next little piece of motivation to keep going. And it just breaks down further and further till you have the finite point where you'd be willing to crawl to a finish line.
So let me ask you, because I think a lot of people, they go through, they don't go through the same thing, but they go through this like mental block when they're either trying to compete in a race or trying to finish a race. And a lot of it has to do with people watching them, right? So how did you feel when you had millions of people watching you, especially during this very vulnerable and challenging race that you did?
Well, I was aware that a camera was on me, and that camera I knew would translate to millions of homes. And yes, I was aware of that, and it affected me in that I wanted to keep trying to win because I knew that would look a certain way. And then when it was really humiliating and I lost control of my body, and that was that felt invasive. So it was this mixed bag. But ultimately, I think what happens in endurance racing is you forget everything else. It all fades away, and all you're focused on is your ability to get your body one foot in front of the other and get to that finish line. And that was something that was a surprise to me, because not having competed in really at all, especially tense situations, that there's this kind of this magic space. It isn't always a happy space, but it's this place that you can go to that everything else just fades away, and you can just focus solely on your goal.
Definitely. Your agony of defeat moment is credited with sparking a surge in Ironman Triathlon's popularity. How does that make you feel, and knowing that your perseverance inspired so many people and elevated the sport?
Oh, well, I think I'm really proud of the fact that something that I did just instinctively to get myself to a finish line could have the effect of motivating others to want to try to do something really difficult as well. That perspective has come over decades. There was that initial feeling, again, like my most vulnerable state was being shown, and people were focusing on what happened to me, and how, oh, I can't believe you'd let people see that. And I had to hold on to this little special place where I knew it had changed my life, and I knew I discovered something about myself that was really precious. So that was the early stages. And now over time, I understand that what happens in sports, that's just as what happens. And if you're willing to dig deep enough and push yourself hard enough, it may not be pretty, but ultimately it will be so deeply satisfying that it's worth it.
100% agree. And then fast forward to 1994, you became the second person inducted into the Ironman Hall of Fame. What does that honor mean to you? How did it shape your connection with the sport?
Well, I think it cements the fact that my race in 1982 was significant to the sport, as to Ironman and to the sport. And so it really gave me that mantle of belonging to the development of the sport. And it's an honor, but I felt like I really deserved to be there. Even my race record wasn't that of a Paula Newby-Fraser or a Mark Allen. It was like my contribution was still significant. And now they make a really big deal of it. And I wish there's a little regret that, in those early days, like everything, it was just a little low key, and you got a little announcement, via the mail. And now it's a wonderful ceremony in Kona, and it's a beautiful thing. And we still get to march in the parade, which is really fun. So as the Hall of Famers, we're at the front of the parade.
That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about your book, Crawl of Fame. So what inspired you to write the book, and what message do you hope readers take away from your story?
Oh, really good question. Let's start with the message. I hope the message is that we all have a story. And I remember when Michelle Obama came out with her biography, her quote was roughly, "You should be the star, of your own life." And I thought, okay, I really like that. Everyone has a wonderful story in them. And I just finally, after a lot of time, I thought, is my story worth telling? And of course, I reached out to a friend, Robert Yaling, my co-author. Robert, I'm not a writer, but I'm a storyteller. So much you think this has got value? And he did a backflip, and it was really easy. And then working was really fun to tell my stories, to record my stories, and then watch him do his dance of weaving them together. So I hope the message that they get is that everyone has a story. Everyone's story is important. And if you find my story inspiring, then I hope it get you to do something that you think is a little bit crazy, really hard, and will challenge you in ways you never knew.
Were any of the moments during the writing process that brought you back unexpected emotions or new perspectives on the journey?
Oh gosh. I think the one that I spent the most time with was my divorce. And you think it would be a race moment like 1982. And of course, I really wanted to define 1982 and all in the best way that, but emotionally, I think doing justice to my side of the story of separating from my husband, Mark Allen. And as the father of my son, Matt Allen, I knew he'd be, so I really wanted to be respectful and open and vulnerable about going through the process of a divorce.
Yeah. It's tough, right? So looking back, how has that 1982 race shaped your life and your career?
Oh, wow. Well, it gave me a career. I didn't have any intention of being a professional athlete, especially a professional triathlete. That was not in the game plan. And then I think it sort of taught me that you should have crazy big dreams and you're not always going to succeed at them. I mean, I didn't win the race, I got second, but you should go big dreams. And I love now having a big dream shape my life, maybe for several years it will take me to get to that goal. And I love the of being on the journey of leading to that goal. And of course, it was just opened up my world to just the love of sports and just watching other people have their first experiences has been wonderful.
I love that. I think the journey is the key here, right? Because we all go through, we're doing so much every single day. But if we just take a step back and look at where we were and where we're going or where we are now, that's significant. So, what lessons did you learn from that experience that you carry today?
Oh, I learned there's times you have to be really brave. You know, you have to just, and it might be the unpopular choice. Your family may not agree, your friends may not agree, but if there's something inside you that is sparked and you are really, you feel it in your heart space, in your imagination space, that you just have to follow your, that's one of the most important lesson, I think.
Yeah. You know, Julie, you have inspired so many people, including myself, non-athletes, athletes, everyone. What does it mean to you to be a symbol of perseverance and determination?
Oh, I'm extremely proud to
Yeah.
be to carry that. Yeah, and I think it's just it's a piece of me that I will always have, and I feel like because I put myself out there in a public way, then I'm open to whoever comes up to me, no matter any question. I'm an open book, and also I'm also willing to sort of pay that forward and help somebody in any way. Always tell I'm not a coach, I'm a mentor. I'll help mentor anybody.
Absolutely. And Julie, by the way, she wrote the foreword to my book, Unlocking the Triathlon. And I'm so grateful because you are an inspiration to me. And that would just meant a lot that you did that. And
It was, the book is great. You guys all have probably read it. You need to read it. And Hilary, that's an Ironman endeavor in itself to putting the work into getting the book done. It's, you got to the finish line. Congratulations.
thank you.
And now I'd like to open this up for discussion. Brad kicks it off.
Well, I've seen Julie so many times and I've asked her questions over the years, so I don't think of any new ones that I can even think of. But it's just been a pleasure knowing her and and seeing her at different races and in Kona and other places. It's just fun and interesting to watch her presence in the sport. And you see people, I'll be standing off to the side and you see two people standing there and one of them elbow the other one and hey, that's Julie Moss, It's kind of funny to watch it. And then the second half of that is, do we have the guts to go over and talk to her, And when they do, it's really interesting to watch, because it's just, how do I say it? A down-to-earth person who will just sit there and chat with you about, that's one of the things I love about triathlon. The people in the sport, especially the pros, are just down to earth people. I mean, you don't see that in golf. Tiger Woods is not gonna talk to me. I remember one of your McKillie Jones. We were doing a race in LA and she'd won the race. And I went over to talk to her. I had my little camera. I wanted a picture with her. And I got probably 20 with Julie. So I went over there and she was talking. McKillie was talking with somebody. It turned out he was a guy from Australia with her. So I was just kind of standing there. And finally, she finishes talking. And I said, hi, congratulations on the race. And I said, can I get a picture? She says, sure. She grabs the camera out of my phone, gives it to her friend, stuffs it in his hand, and says, here, take our picture. She grabs me and hugs me in. And so there we are, this picture being taken by this other Australian guy. I mean, that's the pros in our sport. And I think that Julie is a lead with that kind of person. I mean, that's what you see and what you get when you run into these folks at a race anywhere, whether it's Kona or just a small race like this one was in LA that I'm talking about. And they're willing to talk to you. And then one of the first things they always said, how was your race? Where are you from? I mean, like they care where I'm from or how I did, but it's the interest that you care about the sport. And you see that in the people who have led this space, Julie, Mark, Dave Scott, who's had some health issues lately, but I guess he's doing a little better. Anyway, but that's what I see in our sport, if you will.
It's funny is that I actually talked about that at the book launch and how it's amazing to me how accessible people who you inspire and, just these, that everybody's accessible. And that's really the beauty of the sport. Don't you agree, Julie?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's because we all started together, and it's the sport. It isn't as huge as other sports, and so maybe we try harder. I don't know. But we really genuinely enjoy. I think having the professional race, having the age group races, and now as an age group athlete, I think the age groupers are much tougher than the pros ever were. So I hope we all hold ourselves to a standard that says, we're all one big Ohana and we're a family and we should treat each other that way.
Absolutely. Diane, you have a question?
Do. Julie, nice to meet you. Hi. Thank you so much for this. I am new to a lot of things. I did get Hilary's book because I'm becoming more and more interested in the whole triathlon idea. The longest race that I've run is a half marathon, very slowly. I run with my group on Sunday mornings, and I'm so grateful for them pushing me to be better. My problem I find in running, and even before I could take the leap of faith, I think, to learn what I need to learn for the triathlon, is I never feel like I belong in the space. I always feel like I'm an imposter, like I'm pretending to be somebody. So I don't know how to overcome that. And I know that's a mind thing, but I feel like if I could break through on that, it would be a game changer. Does that make any sense at all?
Sure, absolutely. I felt that because I didn't have a competitive background when I started in the race. And very quickly, women were coming into the sport who had swimming backgrounds and cycling backgrounds and running backgrounds. And I felt like I didn't belong. And that was what I did was, I think in races, I would show up and I was carrying that baggage with me. And it was not something that I needed to carry along with the idea of having to swim, bike, and run and do all that together. It took a while, but I think what helped me the most was having a great supportive training group around me. The people that I train with day in and day out, that is who matters. Whoever else is out there watching, their attention span is very short, let me tell you. I know even as an announcer, they're not really listening to me. They're really keying in on their family member. So I would say keep surrounding yourself with a great team, people that you can count on to motivate you to get out the door and meet. And it's a process, and I appreciate that you're sharing your vulnerability and feeling that. But I think that is something that will pass once you realize that you're being as supportive for your friends as they're being for you. And that's really what matters.
Okay. Good advice. Yep. I just want to finish. I honestly do not care about time. I just want to finish before the sweeper. That's all I want to do.
Perfect. And really I know as an announcer, when I'm waiting for the person who just wants to finish, it is so fun to rally everybody around and get that energy going for that person. So if I'm so lucky to call you across the line one day, that'll be fabulous, and you'll get, the royal treatment. But until then, just keep focusing on your goal. Make it really personal, and don't let other people steal your bliss.
Right.
Thanks so much.
Jackie, you have a question?
I do, yeah. First, I want to say I was watching Wild World of Sports that day. I saw you, and I had been new to running and marathoning. I said, gee, she has so much, in New York we say chutzpah, so much guts. She has it. She has what I'm missing at that time. So you mentioned Michelle Obama before, and I'm just wondering, have you ever met her? Have you ever been to the White House, the Obama White House?
No, I didn't get to meet Michelle or Oprah. Those are two of my on my list. There's time. There's time, Jackie. So.
Oh, yes, I'm sure. And I just want to say, there's a sentiment of, people not being the star athlete, the star, the number one person in high school or college athletics. And what I tell people is that I was not last to be picked. I was never to be picked. So I have gotten it was myself putting on my shoes, myself putting in the miles, myself sweating in 98-degree weather, myself sweating in 2-degree weather in New York. So that's what will carry you, but you need inspiration. You need to see other people doing it and not feeling that, you're on this island.
Right. Yeah, that sense of community is really important, especially when you have to spend so much training indoors. We have to hook up online with groups, or just coming on a chat like this is really important. But congratulations. I'm glad you watched that race, and that now here you are. You're a triathlete.
Can I make a comment on Diane's question? Diane, if you can get through the swim, that's all you got to do. Because after the swim, you just got to ride your bike, and you can do that. I mean, you've been riding a bike since you were a little kid, and you can eat, and if it gets hard, you downshift. If it's downhill, you can relax, you can coast, and then you get to the run, and you can walk as much as you want. And when you've finished, I'm smart enough not to ask how old you are, but you know how many women your age could never even think about this, let alone do it? You'll be a very small percentage person, and that will be a sense of feeling and an accomplishment that you can't describe. So just go do it. Just go do it.
Good advice.
So Nicole, you have a question. I'm just going to ask you to unmute.
Yeah, I'm not sure where the question is in it, but I had sort of the opposite experience of you a little while back, a couple years ago. I think I was in my 16th season of triathlon. I was doing a half Ironman, which I'd done several before. I'd also done a couple Ironman before that. Had a great swim, had a good bike, and I got onto the run. And when I do a long run like that, I typically do a run walk. So I ran the first mile and then did a 20-second walk. And when I went to start running again, my body just kind of said, nah. So I started walking again and figured I'll get back into the running later. So a little while later, I tried running again, and my body was just saying, nah, you're not running today. So I ended up walking almost the entire half marathon. I just don't know what happened to me that day. And at the very end, in the finishing chute, my legs cramped up so bad, my body just stopped, and I almost fell over. A couple spectators ran out and grabbed me and stood me up again, got me walking again, and I just walked the last part, and as I said, I'm out. But I finished. And amazingly, my coach had shown up for this race for me. And so as soon as I was across the line, she grabbed me, she pulled me into the shade, she threw a Gatorade into my hand and took care of me. I finished. It was definitely not the race I wanted. But then, like a month later, I was out on another half Ironman race, and at about mile 46 on the bike, my legs are starting to cramp, and it's like, ugh, I gotta get through the bike, I gotta get through the run, and I did get through the bike, but as it was going on, it's like, you know what? Maybe I don't need to do the run. And so I finished the bike and I said, that's it, I'm done today. And I know the experience from that previous race was just in my mind, that I just did not want to have that sort of experience again on that run. I started doubting everything about my run there, and I just said, I'm done. And I've never gone back to a half iron. My solution was to drop back to ollies and sprints and just own those. But that one race sort of broke me, and I don't know if I really want to get past it, but I definitely haven't been able to get past it.
Yeah, that's tough. I think, well, what from what I'm hearing is that the confidence or the nutritional aspect didn't get quite worked out. And
Something didn't.
yeah, it didn't, because to be cramping on a bike, that of course, how are you going to even manage to think about to run a marathon or even walk or a half marathon?
Mhm.
So I think yeah, nutritionally, if the desire comes back, because I think it's great to do sprints. Why not do the things that it's joyful? You don't have that, you don't have to worry about it. You don't spend the whole night before just wondering, am I going to be able to finish this race? To do something that you know is in your wheelhouse and that you can keep getting better at is wonderful. I mean, because at our stage in life, we have to take our wins. And why not go for wins? I think that's admirable. If you ever did decide that half Ironman is still maybe calling me a little bit, then I would approach it with a clean slate and say, I need to work on my nutrition, number one, and I need to kind of do a race where it's really all about just finishing. You have to kind of go back to square one and just try and erase the emotional slate and the physical slate with good nutrition. So you have one in you. I know it's there, you want it, but while you're having so much fun doing the others, you're still creating a great base. And I think you have the best of both worlds. But when you come back to it, you're going to have to do things differently.
Okay. Thank you.
So, Julie, I mean, Nicole comes up with a good example, and I think we all go through this in our minds. Like, I mean, even Diane alluded to it by saying that she felt like an imposter, right? I think that we all have this like mental block in our head saying, even though we can do it, we have this like thing in the back of our head saying, you can't do this. You're not going to be able to do this. You're not good. How do you stop those voices from interfering with your goal?
I think for me, I get strength and positivity through the training journey. If I am hitting my marks in training, and sometimes it means just getting out the door and getting to a pool instead of skipping it. If I'm on a program and I am going to my workouts and things are going well, I have to trust that that is what's the fundamental building blocks are getting built. I'm building, that bridge to get to my goal. And so when the race comes around, it's really the work's done. And I tend to really think that the work is done when I come to the race. And I have to say, I made the mistake in 2017, I wanted to come back to Kona and race. And I had an idea. I was working on the book, Hilary, so you can appreciate this. I had a storyline in my head that I would go faster at 60 than I went in 1982. So I know the time was 11 hours and 11 minutes, and I wanted to go faster than that. And I could just see the book title. And I got to Kona and I went way too hard on the bike, and I was cramping at Javi. So I had 56 miles still to ride, and I still had to run a marathon, and I had blown it. I wasn't making my goal of having this headline. Forget the fact that I felt like I could finish. Of course I could. In my brain, it said, of course you could finish, but this isn't what you planned on. This isn't the headline you wanted. I'm out. I stopped after the bike. Was it a mistake in the moment? I felt very justified, having done so many Ironmans, and I thought this one was for me. This one was for all the glory. Well, I learned a valuable lesson. Endurance sports doesn't work that way. Endurance sports doesn't care about what the headline you saw in your head. It's about what you're willing to do on the day. So I immediately had to find a qualifying race and get ready to go back in 2018. And the new headline is gratitude that my body held up to the training, gratitude that I got another shot here to just go out and do the race as it unfolds without any script to try and follow. And it really was an amazing experience coming from the depths of really doing it the exact wrong way. And I thought after all these years, I could still get it so wrong. But I was trying to do something that was more ego driven, more about the accolades and how it's going to appear to others. When I went back to gratitude about just being happy to be there and not thinking about what the end result was, it was just going to come the way it came. I had that was such a good experience. I thought I would end my career on that note. And turns out I want a little more of that. And as much as I thought that 2018 race when I came back was just everything I could have imagined. I was racing with my son, Matt. He was waiting for me at the finish line. Mark Allen was at the finish line. It was just this moment that I thought nothing can top that. And now it will be 10 years in 2028. I want to go back and I want to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Kona. And I think the best way for me to celebrate that is to be racing. That to me makes sense. I will be in the new 70 to 74 age group. I have no desire at this point to say, I want that, to race as an 80-year-old. And thank goodness Gabrielle did it so beautifully. So she already beat me to the punch on that. Thank you. But I do have one more journey in me. But this journey is going to take a couple years to get ready for, having been away from the sport since 2019. It's going to take a long journey. I have to get my hip replaced. And once my hip's replaced, it'll be both of them at that point. Then the journey starts. It's like it starts with getting my body as best ready as I can before my operation, get my hip replaced, rehab, and then start the journey. So I don't think sometimes we don't get the perfect ending. The perfect ending was perfect when it happened, and now another decade goes by and we want a little something else. And it'll be it's for me. This last Ironman will be for me. And it just is, and to be part of the celebration of a sport that's given me so much.
Absolutely.
Julie, in 2017, I was in Kona racing that year, and I saw you before the race, and you did not seem like you.
Oh, interesting. I love that you're telling me that.
I saw you. I walked by. You were, you have to get the pro section there, and
Yeah.
to get to where I was in the back there, I just walked by and said, "I saw you." And, "Hi, Julie, good luck today." And you kind of said thank you, but it was just like you were spaced. It wasn't the Julie Moss that I talked to many times before and after. You were different. So
Oh,
I
I
don't know
would have
whether it was a
loved.
headset.
Oh no, yeah, it was, and you would have made it into my book with that quote because the editor, they were saying, yeah, to her, that idea of coming back and going faster, that's great, but who cares? I mean, really, well, what's the message for other people? And then I had to come back and say, no, I ruined my guy. That plan got ruined. And they said, actually, the idea that you failed and that you're willing to come back with a different attitude is what we like about your story.
I love that.
Right? And so what Brad's telling me is that that's exactly what I owned up to, that I got it completely wrong. And to have a quote from someone who saw me that morning and said, you just seemed off. Oh, I would have loved that, but oh well. Thank you for sharing it with me now.
Yeah, I thought you'd get a kick out of that.
Oh, yeah. A kick in the ass is what I got.
Well, because I remember walking away and saying to myself, I wonder if I shouldn't have said anything to her. Like she was in her zoned in and I shouldn't have said good luck or have fun or
Yeah, my ego was driving the ship that day, Brad, and turns out that's not the best captain. So
All right. Well, this was wonderful. And we really, really appreciate your time, Julie. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your experiences with us. I think it was super motivational and inspirational. And
oh, well, thank you. It's always a pleasure. Your team is so fantastic. Really, really nice. And Brad, of course, you have a special place in my heart always. And please, if I ever show any kind of attitude again, you just tap me on the shoulder and say, Julie, I know you better than that.
I love it.
I will.
Okay.
I love it. All right, everyone. Have a great day. Thank you again. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Hilary.
This show was produced by Hilary Topper and sponsored by the Russo Law Group, Long Island's signature elder law, estate planning, and special needs law firm. For more information, visit vjrussolaw.com. And PlayTry, your multi-sport specialist for all your triathlon needs. They have so many opportunities, including franchising. If you love the sport of triathlon, check out playtry.com and learn more about opportunities, or if you want to shop there, check them out. They've got great prices and they've got amazing customer service.